Laszlo Toth, a Holocaust survivor, makes his way to the upper deck of the ship to see the Statue of Liberty upon his arrival in America. But for the audience, the camera shows the Statue of Liberty upside down. This is our first clue that Laszlo, who was freed from Buchenwald, still isn't at liberty, and neither is his wife, who writes to him from Hungary. After being freed from Dachau by the Russians, she lives under their rule. She quotes from Goethe, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe themselves free." The marketing campaign for this movie led me to believe that it's an historical epic, but it isn't in the usual sense. There's very little of the sweep of history that seeps into the camera frame. The story is told in linear fashion, but the film is more like a series of impressionist paintings. We're given fleeting visual images, and only later in the movie, and later in time, are those images explained to us. The protagonist here, Laszlo Toth, played by Adrien Brody, is a gifted architect. He was injured during his liberation from the camp, and on the ship to America is given heroin to ease the pain. For 3 years, he lives in America while awaiting his wife and niece. During this time, he becomes a full-blown heroin addict. He befriends Gordon, an African-American single father. They do heroin together. They go to a jazz club. They work as laborers. He can't find a job as an architect because his designs aren't Germanic enough, allegedly, although he trained at Bauhaus. We see the discrimination depicted on screen, but for the most part, the context isn't given to us at the time. It's only later in the film and later in time that Laszlo explains what's happened, and then we understand. For example, when he first arrives in America, he lives with his cousin Attila and his wife. Attila has converted to Catholicism and changed his name to Miller. He runs a furniture store. Laszlo remakes furniture pieces for sale. He lives in a room behind the store. Attila's wife Audrey tells her husband that Laszlo made a pass at her while Attila was asleep. Later in the movie, about 2 hours later and 10 years after it happened, Laszlo reveals to his wife that Audrey lied about the sexual assault just to get rid of him. The movie doesn't lecture. We get to decide. Was this discrimination? Laszlo gains a wealthy client in Harrison Lee Van Buren, who wants to build a community center dedicated to the memory of his late mother in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Van Buren recognizes Laszlo's extraordinary ability and flatters him, but he also drives down the price of the project until Laszlo is working for free. The money goes to materials and to 2 consultants who are hired to drive down the costs. Is this discrimination? When Laszlo's wife and niece arrive in America, Harrison belittles Laszlo for his broken English, and Harrison's son threatens to sexually assault Laszlo's niece. Is this discrimination? And then Van Buren finds Laszlo vomiting from the heroin. While Laszlo is in a helpless state, Van Buren commits an egregious violation, during which he comments that Laszlo's people are leeches on society and get what they deserve. Laszlo's wife, Erzsébet, suffers from osteoporosis because of famine in the camp, and she has to use a wheelchair. His niece, Zofia, is mute from the trauma. This movie is about trauma from the Holocaust and about continuing discrimination, which goes unchallenged for the most part until the last part of the story when Laszlo tells his wife, "They don't want us here. It's because they don't want us here." And his wife, Erzsébet, says, "This country is rotten." They decide to make Aliyah. They move to Israel. This film ends with a message. No matter what people try and sell you, it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. This message could mean different things to different people. Apparently, Laszlo spoke this message to Zofia when they were in Israel and she had just become a mother. We don't watch that part of the story on screen. Zofia tells us about it in the epilogue, and this is our clue that their life in Israel in the beginning was difficult. But in the movie's epilogue, we watch a retrospective being held of Laszlo's work. All of his buildings in the Brutalist style are shown in the exhibit. Brutalism is a style of architecture that acts as a counterpoint to the ornate and decorative style of palaces, for example. In the retrospective, the buildings that he built for Van Buren are featured, a series of 4 interconnected buildings, which Laszlo designed in the style of the concentration camp where he was separated from Erzsébet. But Laszlo designed the Van Buren Institute to have interconnected hallways, which didn't exist with the camps. The film could be telling us here that, for Laszlo, the destination was to build these buildings as they should have been built. The journey taught him how they should not be built. And so this movie, The Brutalist, isn't just about buildings. For Zofia, the message could mean something different. The movie begins with her image as she's interrogated by consular officers while awaiting passage to America. And the movie ends with her image as she gives a speech at the retrospective of Laszlo's work, in which we are shown she overcame the muteness that indicated the trauma she suffered. No longer mute, she's able to speak about what happened so that nobody forgets. Now let me talk about the AI controversy with this movie. Apparently, the sound editor used AI software to perfect the Hungarian speech of stars Adrien Brody and Felicity Jones, who play Laszlo and his wife Erzsébet. They don't speak Hungarian throughout the film, just in a few scenes. I'm not a Hungarian speaker, so I wouldn't have been able to tell that their accents aren't perfect. And I'm guessing most people who watched this movie wouldn't have been able to tell. So what a risk they took. There are court decisions that refuse to extend copyright protection to visual art created by AI because it wasn't created by a human being. And the U.S. Copyright Office has issued guidance denying copyright protection to AI-generated images. Apparently, AI was also used for Laszlo's sketches that are shown in the epilogue during the retrospective of his work. Those are not architectural schematics or blueprints and easily can be drawn by hand. An art student could have been hired to make those sketches by hand, and it wouldn't have cost a fortune. The Academy still gave the Best Actor Oscar to Adrien Brody, however, because obviously the AI controversy wasn't his fault and didn't impact his performance. As it stands, the use of AI in The Brutalist is not a harbinger of things to come, because the studios aren't going to invest millions of dollars in a movie if there's no copyright protection. It would destroy any incentive for the studios to continue making movies. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.